Hello, good evening and welcome to Spotlight on MX24 television, and I am Nuong Falong. In the last month alone, we have counted at least 5 different kidnap cases involving women. We're going to profile them shortly on the screen for you to appreciate better. Most recently, it's the case of Josephine Simmons from Takoradi, an allegedly pregnant woman who was kidnapped after she went for a walk at dawn. This was some 4 days ago. Since then, the case has evolved to take on different angles, with the Western Regional Minister earlier today making some interesting comments about suspicions of the entire case being fake, including the pregnancy. We are asking questions today. Is kidnapping an overlooked security concern in Ghana? I'm putting that question to both you and our studio guests. We'll be right back to introduce the studio guest and to give you more details on this particular subject. Stay with us. Welcome back to Spotlight. The question we're asking this evening is very simple. Is kidnapping an overlooked security concern based on recent kidnap cases involving women? Most recently, the case of Josephine Simmons from Takoradi. The details have been evolving in the last few days, taking on different dimensions. I'm going to be speaking in studio with Adib Sani, who is a security analyst and not in any way new to Spotlight. Dr. Titus Bayu, a medical doctor. Also, Samson Deklu, he's an associate agent at the Bureau of Public Safety. Gentlemen, welcome to Spotlight, and thank you for giving us your time. Good evening. If you can hear me, please unmute so we can hear you too. Okay, I can barely hear them there, but I mentioned earlier that we have profiled some kidnapping cases in the last month. I think there's one of them that goes on to somewhere in March, but then there are 5 of them within the last month, being August and today. Those are just going to roll on your screen quickly there, so you can see. This is the most recent, Josephine Mensah, who went missing after a routine dawn walk on Thursday, September 16. She was 9 months pregnant, something that is being refuted in some quarters now. We'll be taking some information on that too shortly, because Honorable Kwabena Okyere Mensah, the Western Regional Minister, has refuted that. We also know that a pregnant woman was found dead with her head severed and other body parts removed on Tuesday, August 31, 2021. This happened in Mankesim. There was another case involving a nurse with the Ghana Health Service, Vera Asamoah, and she left home in Ashiye, Accra on Friday, March 26, 2021. She went to pick something from an unidentified person and has since not returned home. Very grim story there. She has also since not been heard of. And there was a lady at the Lands Commission. She was a staff of the Lands Commission in the Ashanti region, Mrs. Rodelyn Amwa Dako. She was declared missing by her husband, who was a lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The police have since been looking for her and have not found her. This was reported on September 2nd, 2021. She is yet to be found. She got missing with a friend whose body was found. but she hasn't been found yet. There was also the case of 16-year-old Stephanie Asamoah. She went missing at Enyinasi in the Elembele district of the Western region in August, on the 26th of August 2021. She has also since not been found, as you can see. There was also the case of a 65-year-old woman. She went missing on August 15 at the Asin Breku in the central region. She was found dead 5 days later with her body parts removed. Another unfortunate situation there. Now, we are looking at the case of Josephine Simmons, who recently was kidnapped. And more recently, I mentioned the Western Regional Minister has made some comments suggesting that she was not pregnant after all. She was found a few days ago with the story that she had had the baby. The baby was missing, apparently taken by the kidnappers. There was another story that explained the kidnappers had kidnapped, in fact, some other pregnant women, numbering 12, and they have not been found yet. The kidnappers have not been found either. Josephine's neighbors and friends and husband insist she was, in fact, pregnant, a little over 9 months, and so she was taking a walk to, facilitate labor. There are also some people from the hospital she used to attend for her antenatal who insist she had been visiting the hospital since September of last year, which makes sense given the timeline. The Western Regional Minister, I think he has different information. He has not explained further since. In fact, he mentioned earlier that this could have been a fake situation. Let's just take his comments for better perspective.
Onyopia, Onyinsen. Onyinsen is so. Why you want this thing has been bundled around for a very long time like that. So that's the immediate information we have now. But police phone or at the police hospital. They say Dr. Noboa, no, I can the same thing. I'm a BNI for that. Naturally, but that's the information I've been given. Because when you have any see, when you almost in your show. Let me come put the first question I asked is that Jama imagine on your me or mental problem and a depression and a BB. Also no, they don't think so. And the order of asked is that Nikuna should be investigated. No my should be investigated because you read that it can be staying with supposed to be 9 months pregnant and all of a sudden everybody has realized that she's not pregnant. Because of that the police are in the hospital now also guarding the woman. Later they'll do their own further investigation on the matter.
Interesting assertions there by the Western Regional Minister. We have since reached out to him. He has declined to comment further on the earlier comments. We have also reached out to the police, who also insist they'll be releasing a statement later and will not speak until the statement has been released. But we have in studio Adib Sani, I mentioned earlier, a security analyst, Dr. Titus Bayu, a medical doctor, and Samson Deklu from the Bureau of Public Safety. Gentlemen, good evening. Samson, good evening. I understand you've joined us on Zoom.
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Fantastic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you as well for having me.
Let's get into this very interesting issue that stories keep emerging from. It keeps taking on different branches, and we're not exactly sure what to believe right now until investigations are concluded. But when you listen to the various angles of this particular story, what's your initial impression of the entire case?
Oh, okay. Thank you and good evening to your viewers.
Right.
For us, our initial impression is that we want to thank God first for making it possible the woman has been found. That is one. Then also the fact that the authorities involved are taking steps to ascertain the situation and to come up with a statement for that matter. So we are just waiting patiently for the report from the doctors as to the woman's health, whether she's okay, everything. Then they also want the police to give us an update on what they found and going forward, what they are going to do in pursuit of these people who engage in this crime on this young woman. So I think the police have done their best so far because once she got missing, the statements put out for information to be relayed to the Ghana police in case anybody comes across her. And that was exactly what happened when the security man found her around the church. So I think the information went out early and everything was, I mean, carried out as it should. So now that she has been found, we are waiting for that statement to see the next step of action for our civil security.
Interesting. Now, we know that the Bureau releases crime reports every half year. In the first half of 2021, there was a report released that indicated that there's been a surge in kidnapping in Ghana in 2021. This was comparative to 2020. Now, why are we experiencing an increase in 2021? Have there been any reasons identified?
As an answer rightly said, I mean, the Bureau reports indicate that there will be an increase in this kidnapping issue. But as to the exact cause of it, so as a Bureau, always release a report and give a copy to the Ghana police to also probably have the investigations up there to give us probably what might have caused the surge in these cases. As it stands, we don't really have any official statement from Ghana police after the investigation to really tell us what might have been the cause for this increase in kidnapping we're experiencing, which we experienced in the first half, and we keep experiencing even up to this point. So we could not really tell exactly what the cause of this increase, but we know that there will be an increase in these areas of crime.
Adib Sani just joined the conversation, so give me a moment there. Let me pull him into the conversation. Adib, good evening and welcome to Spotlight. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure always, no.
Right, I was just speaking to the Bureau of Public Safety, who released a report earlier indicating that between 2020 and 2021, there's been a surge in kidnap cases in 2021. As a security analyst, do you know of any factors that are contributing to this?
Well, obviously so. For want of a better word, kidnapping is so un-Ghanaian. It is something that we are not very much used to in the country, but in recent years we've had a surge in foreigners coming into the country, especially Nigerians. I mean, that is not to in any way suggest that all foreigners are criminals, but just that some of them are escapees. Some are being sought after in Nigeria, and they are able to escape to Ghana and engage in such activities. And I've come to also realize that there's been a knowledge transfer of some sort to their Ghanaian counterparts who are now, who believe that kidnapping is a very easy way to make money when you compare it to armed robbery. Secondly, I think that for some time now, our inability to invest in what we call situational crime prevention, that is creating an atmosphere or a regime that makes it very risky to perpetrate such crime, unfortunately, is what is making a lot more go into it, because our investigation regime is not so very encouraging. I mean, modernity presents to us technology that is also presenting to us endless opportunities so far as crime and safety is concerned. Unfortunately, we don't seem to be able to grab these opportunities. The use of forensic science, biometrics, DNA, etc., would have helped. Even cell tower triangulation, I understand the Takoradi girls, when they were kidnapped, for a number of days, they were in contact with the police and with the families of the girls. So if we had that technology practicalized, triangulation, because anywhere you go with your cell phone, it pings with cell towers. So with that, you are able to establish where the person is at any point in time. So if we had such capability available, I'm sure the girls could have been saved. So we really need to invest in improving the investigation regime. If not, a lot more people would go into it as an easy means to wealth, knowing full well that the probability of them getting caught is low.
Are you saying our security system is not competent enough?
Well, it is competent, but there's no room. There's no room for.
Well, look at all these lapses. It seems we are not able to.
There are many lapses. There are many. Even if the Bureau of Public Safety have been going through their reports over the period. Not only them, even the police themselves. There are reports. For example, the first quarter of this year points to an increase in crime, especially the murder rate, as compared to same period last year. In 2017, the murder rate was 609, and this is without those that are not even reported to the police, and those that we think are just suicide. Okay, so there are lapses. There are certain structural inefficiencies that is breeding crime. However, a lot of work is being done, but certainly is not enough.
I'll come back to you in a moment, Adi, but it seems if our security apparatus is not sophisticated enough or technical enough to be able to use very, very simple methods to track down criminals, then it seems quite a dangerous situation. Let me go to Samson Deklu. Samson, it seems most of Takoradi seems to be becoming very notorious for kidnappings. Is it a case of too much publicity on Takoradi, or are we really experiencing more of such issues within that vicinity?
Okay, so as I did correctly, probably is the way the crimes are being handled when it comes to this issue. We all here, we saw how the Tardy girls issue was handled in terms of communication and stuff. One day these things are not handled, but the criminal sees as a point to probably engage more in these activities. For the end of the day, there's no point in being independent or facing the law. So I think it's a matter of probably improving the way we investigate and handle these crimes as and when they come up. It might be alien to us. Now it is becoming more of a household activity for people to find an easy way of probably getting what. It's really about publicity. Once the thing happens, we need to make people know that that's happening. That's the only way they can also probably safeguard people themselves, once they are out there. But the police service and our security agencies need to also probably improve a bit more, as like I've said, use more technology to track some of these crimes, so that the people are aware that once you commit this crime, the tendency of you being arrested is very high. But once these things are low on their risk, people need to engage in it, knowing that they will always walk away free with their crime.
Now, does this create any fear within Takoradi, especially for the residents?
Oh, sure. It's very good to a bit of fear, knowing that, once, even when you are just taking the morning walk, the probability of you being picked up by high. people will be more cautious when they are out there, and they'll probably want to probably stay indoors and just be more conscious of their movements in and around their vicinity. I mean, any society who have experienced this will have some level of fear, but this fear will reduce only if the security agencies probably are able to work more to more improve their delivery aspects to assure the public that look, even though these are happening, we have this under control. We are definitely going to care of it. So definitely, people in Takrady will definitely have some element of your level of fear in them, even as they go about their daily work in out of Takrady.
But how can the police diffuse this situation? Should they be increasing police presence in that area, or is the whole country supposed to increase police presence?
Well, I mean, crime cuts across the whole country. But I believe there are areas that are recording high crime rates. So it means that police activities in those moderately that increased crime in Takrady, you don't expect to send probably large number of police to, let's say, Kamale or elsewhere, which is experiencing less crime. So police visibility and the place of hierarchy in around Takrady should probably look at improving their policing in that area, also educating the people on their security consciousness going forward. The same stuff I have done with us for someone on this Friday in recent times. So we need to address it from that aspect.
Let me just go back to Adib over there, because I want to find out about some comments that have been made in relation to this. Now, Adib, we listened earlier to the regional minister's comments about the possibility of this entire thing being fake. He was quite emphatic about that. I mentioned earlier that we actually reached out to him, but he's declined to make further comments concerning that. He also spoke to the police about that, and they also declined to make any comments because they said they were going to release a statement later today, which we still haven't seen, and then they could comment after. But do you think that the police should at least have come out to make some assurances? Because we have heard the minister's comments, and it has created so much confusion. So much. If you've seen reactions also from Western Region, from the residents of Western Region, from the woman's neighbors, from people who knew her. How are we supposed to be tackling this incident right now?
The incident is one thing, and managing it is another thing. Okay? Because if you don't manage it well, the possibility that it would create widespread apprehension and create some sort of disenchantment among the family members of the lady in question, or perhaps have serious psychological toll on the victim, even though it's yet to be verified. It's very high. So you see, we need to be very careful with these pronouncements. It is not in the place of the minister to give out such information. Besides, he didn't have the full facts of the matter. He just said, okay, the pregnancy was fake, and asked further questions. He couldn't even answer those questions. I rather would have thought that.
So you think he shouldn't have made these comments at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because so far as I am concerned, the issue is still under investigation. And you see, security matters is not like a football game. Okay, you don't give live commentary, because there's always the possibility that in one way or another, whatever you say might compromise the whole investigation, might get the offenders on the run, or might make them relax, something like that. Okay, so the minister was wrong to have come out. Maybe, perhaps, he is the chairperson of the Regional Security Council, so obviously he's privy to some information you and I don't have. But always the right mechanisms, the right protocols, the right processes should be followed. All right? So I think that it is an information that he got by virtue of his position, but he didn't get the full facts of the matter, and quickly he came out to give, that. So it can be either way. It can be that, well, it could be fake on the other, because it's certainly not going to be the first time. There are so many cases I've had to review that involves runaway brides claiming they were kidnapped. Some because their parents are rich and they would want, part of the wealth, they would pretend to, have been kidnapped and all that. It's not going to be anything new, but it's important that we hold our guns and let the police do a thorough investigation.
So we've actually seen cases where people have faked their kidnapping, but
Absolutely.
Have we experienced any that those who are kidnapped, the victims, show up, at home without the kidnappers being found, without the investigation being concluded, and then they just get returned by the kidnappers?
Yeah, sometimes the kidnappers, they kidnap and they don't intend to kill. So depending on how the negotiation goes, sometimes you have some relatives who are very cooperative, others will go like, look, do your work, okay? And if they don't intend killing, they can just drive you to the nearby bush and drop you there, or drop you somewhere. Because there was this story about a victim whose people were not willing to even negotiate with the kidnappers. At the point the kidnappers got fed up, dropped him and even gave him transport money. You can imagine. So it does happen that way. That is why it is very critical, because there are so many ways this issue, we can make sense of this issue. We have security cameras all over the place. Not just those provided by the state, but even those installed by individuals within their domestic, residential property. Like the case of the Kumasi kidnapped Canadian girl, okay? It was a CCTV camera from a residential facility, or is it a hotel, that captured that red Corolla, Toyota Corolla, that had some distinct markings at the back that eventually led to the rescuing of those girls. So if we are able to take a closer look at the area, if we can find CCTV footages, at least that would, to a very large extent, inform us about how she arrived there. Because as it stands, the last time I got information from the area, I understand she's unable to speak. Unfortunately.
But what could have contributed, if it's even possible, that she would fake kidnapping?
Well, a whole lot of factors. Some could be psychological in nature, some could be greed, If you watch crime and investigation channel very often, you see to what extent people go to acquire wealth. Sometimes when a spouse is dead, the first thing the police do is to find out whether there's a life insurance on the person, So when people are greedy, they want fast means to money. They are capable of doing just anything. And sometimes the socialization process is important. We have children at home. You are rich. You have it all, but you don't have time for the children. You ignore them. You leave them in the streets as if they don't have parents and all that. So when the child grows, there's a discord of some sort, a disconnect between the parents and the child, okay? And when it happens that way, children can do just anything to attract attention or to get a chunk of the father's love. So it happens. It does happen. On the other hand, if it is anything to go by that, yes, indeed, she was kidnapped pregnant and she's returned without a baby, it is highly likely that perhaps she was kidnapped for ritual purposes. Maybe they needed the fetus or the baby, I must say, because I understand she was 9 months. So anything is possible. Anything is possible. Just that in Ghana, when your relative is killed or something happens and they come to question you, you find it difficult to cooperate. How dare you think that I am capable of perpetrating this crime? For crying out loud, he's my wife. She's my wife, he's my husband. But it does happen. So we have to cooperate with law enforcement because they are only doing their work, and the politicians should just keep off and let the experts do their work. And in due course, we would all get to know what really happened.
Right. I'm going to come to Mr. Deklu because I want to find out from him. You're saying that the minister should have taken his time for investigations to be concluded before he came out with those comments, which have been quite inflammatory to the incident. But I don't know if the Bureau of Public Safety thinks the same. In the meantime, we have some comments from the lady's husband. Let's take that first, and then I can find out from Mr. Deklu.
in my road did that if in main road. It's an sorry, no car. I'm not just watching to me from the batting for a doctor for that. Family here. Now you're both the medical police station. I saw the number from the phone, one more, prayer. Yeah, by I the time of this before environment called hospital. And to see a hospital, no, that's all. And you're not credit the other. Oba pin for 1 year, 9 months. And no more kidnap on. And you say, on our book, and I said, a national street for Qatar, because your war report, I just say, Oba no onion, Oko antenatal. And it's almost Qatar, and I just say, no, like you're not getting about pin for onion. And the full P 9 months. About pin for onion. Na me amenenete na me amacha oba nenyem no me mean say oba nenyem that issue no more Canadian say mo change because oba onyem of fight later of hospital because new sakrade efie kuma obi ani nta na yere.
So those are remarks there by the Josephine's husband after the minister mentioned that the entire story could have been fake and the woman wasn't pregnant to begin with. That's Josephine's husband there saying that his wife was indeed pregnant and he had been living with her up until the 9th month when she went to live with her mother preparing for birth. We got that audio from Kesbin FM. He spoke to Kesbin FM earlier and that was where we got the audio from. Let me go to Mr. Deklu. At this point, do you share the assertion that the minister may have spoken too quickly?
Totally. I share that. The minister spoke too quickly. I mean, the timing was even if the information you have is true, okay, you should have known better that probably you are privy to this based on your power or something. But to just come out and say that was fake, what was just not at the right timing. We should have waited for an official statement from the agency. I mean, we are told that the lady is in the hospital, probably undergoing some treatments and other things. The medical reports and all that would have given us a better picture of what actually happened or what didn't happen. I mean, my previous information hasn't been good to me and just the minister spoke too quickly, probably should have, even if it is true, as Professor said, anything can happen. It might be true, it might be false. So what if it turns out to be a false statement that was just put out in the public domain? It will even help in the investigation should they even happen like that. So I think the minister even if the information you had at that point was anything to go by. And more about the way we handle some of this thing, probably will have public confidence in security agencies or not. So once this is happening and we are quick to react to it, probably to brand it as not being true, whatever it is, it doesn't have public confidence in handling some of these cases. That's the way they come.
Mr. Deklu, some people are of the opinion that we are so quick to rubbish these cases when it has to do with middle to low income victims. Is this something that could hold some truth?
Well, those with those opinions might be speaking based on certain facts that they have a proposal, which probably if you are to cast our mind might true or not. I mean the case of the starter details we are still trying to find out. I mean, in one breath we were told the details are found, in another breath we are told they are dead. Even as whether the fact of the matter as it is, we can't not expatiate on it. So, I mean, people with those opinions might have experience based on which they are making those statements. And as I say, it depends on how we handle these matters, how we give public confidence in how these matters are handled, whether it being affecting the rich or the middle class of the poor. So I mean, we should have waited for an official police statement that might encompass the medical report. But if the woman was 9 months pregnant, the doctors will know what's happened and what is happening. And I mean, the hospital from where she was attending antenatal would have had records, whether true or false. At this point, there are also information out there saying that the hospital doesn't want to release any documents pertaining to whether she was antenatal or not. Now, this is the hard part from what he just said, that the woman takes a scroll. I mean, every now and then. So, I mean, there are a lot of information which I will think the minister probably acted too quickly in bringing out the statement that he made.
Medical records. Can they even be released without her consent? I mean, in giving a public nature.
Yeah, I mean, exactly the point I'm making. I mean, it now become a public thing. I'm talking about the police statement would have been the right statement to use in that regard. But definitely, the police would have had access to information per the investigation. And the statement would probably be the best one that we take as a public to work with. Because they are the authority to give that information on these cases. Probably not the regional minister at probably openly state that the faked. Even if that was faked, I mean, the information you have is not full because it's not as if the woman has not been found. She has been found. So, and it's still early days to be making such statements in the public domain.
Let me just take some comments related to that from residents of Chakradi quickly there.
The doctor who said that pregnant has not given birth, pregnant has not been pregnant, that doctor can be fake. So we need that our family member here.
Okay.
At that time, no way, no small boy, no over 3 years. No, I will feel. I want my mom. In the Maminu, Jolly Abafrano, I didn't call school. Emma Colano, Mamina Sambai, or by no son, Abafrano, our Moniz and on bay. More about 8:30, about 9. Near friend who could. I didn't be a new there. Our friend church, our Banovana, no couldn't say, Omba. Yes, the Kunimbra. Now, you who our friend will feel. It's a Kuni Beno, and a Kuni Chere, a phenomenon in Chen. Then there's a phenomenon in Chen. Yes, so you move my phone call Libya. Oh, yeah, on nonsense, we be a Kenyan, we could pay hospital. In the young hospitals, in a young Chishe, Libya, we pray one. In the year, you call them around, say, you know, Yada, our friend, we pay hospital. At that time, no, come about 12 to 1 near Kaye. A report at the police station. In the Kaye report, you know, and now, what's been fair statement with the AV? If you want to know, catch an answer, young folk papers no call of a court, no court to someone since sign. It's what about 3:30 Thursday, no 3:30, no. And no lie be free. It's the line of friend of my men. Yet the voice, no, I have a friend of voice. It's him, I have a friend of Casa, no issue. Or issue there, no, mammy, and Brambadgen. Now, be more one on two. I'm parenting my can't no fun. None mammy be sent there over him fan. Or for phone, money penna. Or didn't lie, I'm my friend, no, and Casa. Into the Pocunity phone. No, a cat phone. The Frelina, yes, Anka, the Nipano. Now they check Friday. It's Friday and a pa 7:26. Then for concert Frelino. There, Obano, I dare be young fine into a jano. If it's one day, Yantin Pacuno voice view. How can we and how can walk? Antinenta, how can walk? Rupiah that's why the hospital.
Those were some residents of Sakradi, the most recent one describing the exact pattern that happened. And he was saying there in Tree that the lady got missing on Thursday They tried to find her, they could not find her. They went through the hospitals. They were not able to locate her, and then they reported to the police. He also explains that around 3 a.m. of Friday, the next day, they received a call, supposedly from the kidnappers, in which they could hear the lady's voice, and she was crying for her mother. But the kidnappers were trying to ask for a ransom. Again, they received another call the next day talking about how they had released her because they could not get what they wanted, I believe there. So that was his narration of the incident. Now, the question we are asking is still here on Spotlight. Has kidnapping become an overlooked security concern in Ghana? We're opening the phone lines. You can call in, especially if you're in the Western region. It's important that we hear from you. 0550-331511. Again, 050-331511. There's also 020-473-8481. Again, the number is 020-473-8481. The question we're asking is, has kidnapping become an overlooked security concern in Ghana? Let me go back to Adib Sani, who is still on the line. Quickly, Adib, the question to you, has it become a security concern that we're not paying enough attention to?
It has become a huge concern. Trust me. And if care is not taken, it will become an industry in Ghana, like it is happening in Nigeria. You know, in the past, no, I know you would agree with me. I mean, we're not very much accustomed to hearing about kidnappings on the news, but these days it's become more like a daily ritual. All we knew was robberies. I mean, highway robberies, especially, or people coming to knock on your door in the thick of the night, or you go to Circle, you are buying an iPhone, and the next minute you get home and you realize it's keto, you know, pickpocketing and selling petty scamming, okay? But kidnapping is so un-Ghanaian, okay? As a result, our law enforcement agencies are not well prepared. I mean, we seem to be taken by storm. We seem to be shocked. Our jaws has been dropped, and we are even still unable to pick it up because we're in a state of confusion and confusion. What is going on? What do we do? All right, that is why it is important that the IGP sets up an anti-kidnapping unit within the Ghana Police Service, so we can pay attention to this cause before it spirals out of control, and the next minute we might be dealing with a much more serious issue than we fathomed.
Adib, give me one moment there. We have someone calling from Takrady, Emmanuel Donko. Let's just hear him quickly and then we'll proceed. Hello, Emmanuel. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. I don't know if in fact, the airport was Western region, I know them. Kidnappers, you know, are dorsal. Kidnappers and adults. I was out by Nukan in the Western region. No guarantee, Semono. Because guarantee the Nipanese and Walker and the Juma and the Wood Samia. There also messages for the Western region. That's the West Point. Now the airport are not Monge. Now by the return by Western region. I bet still stop it because what you here, first I said just to go and see I don't know. Not any man and so.
I
So
see.
but if you are going to just go beyond cooperation and guarantee, so just we are cooperation and guarantee. A better than any man we don't so. Japan we can in the Western region. No police for any soldiers only go more and more money cost Abian.
Thank you, Emmanuel Donko. It's called from Takrady there, and he's saying that the government needs to deploy more security forces to Takrady, especially the police, and he actually asking for the military also to increase their presence in Takrady because he describes the security situation as very dire over there. Adib,
Yes.
you heard from Takrady.
Exactly. Lately, I mean, the issue of the girls is still very much fresh in our minds. But amidst all of this, we need to start talking amongst ourselves. The need to integrate systems in the country. People come in and leave the country on daily basis without us knowing about it. Okay, a lot of this kidnapping, when you follow the cases closely, you would either have a foreigner directly involved or indirectly involved. Okay, so we need to start talking about the issue of immigration and how we can ensure that every single person coming into the country is known to the authority. Okay, and that is why the use of biometrics is part of the Sustainable Development Goals, and it has come up even at the ECOWAS, sub-regional level. Different countries, even if they have their different biometric databases like we have in Ghana, the voters register, the national identification, passport office, etc. If we are able to integrate these systems, okay, or we make the systems talk to each other, it can help us, easily identify these persons on the move. And now we are talking even about jailbreaks in Nigeria. How are we able to keep track to make sure that these criminals who have escaped from prison don't find their way into the country? And all of this has its answers in biometric technology and our ability to integrate these systems. And another major issue, what role can you and I play in restoring order or in curbing these or encountering these threats?
Adib, my apologies, I'm going to stop you there again because we have another caller from Bolga. Let me just take him quickly. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Hello.
That's all right. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead, we can hear you.
Yes, my problem has to do with what the regional minister said.
Okay.
I don't know, like people that we look at, people that we feel like they should rather fight for us are the ones trying to criticize us. I don't understand why that comment was made by the minister. If we say he knows anything about the lady's whereabouts, would it be fair to him? No, it wouldn't. So why would he go ahead and say it was fake, it was this, it was that, like as if he knows the lady or he knows the lady's family?
Maybe he has some information that we don't have.
Yes, that's the information that he doesn't have as well. So he shouldn't have gone ahead to make that statement.
Okay.
He is someone who is in a high position, right?
All right. We hear you.
Come again.
We hear you. Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you for calling in. We're grateful. Let me just go back to Adib, who was saying, Adib, you were telling us what role we can also play, if I'm correct.
Exactly. Because no, the thing is, these criminals are in our community. These are people we hang out at, beer bars with, people we go to church with, we go to the mosque with. These are our colleagues at work. These are our siblings, okay? So if you have any reason to suspect that, hey, this person doesn't act right, what is the motivation to report to the police? We don't even have a properly functioning witness protection regime in the country. I remember the case of a diplomat who was kidnapped in Ghana. It was after the diplomat was rescued that the community members started talking about how suspicious those characters within the community were, and that they don't work during the day. They mostly drive unregistered vehicles. They only work at night. Through parties, do things that was so uncharacteristic of that community. So we open our eyes and keep our ears on the ground and collaborate, or so to speak, cooperate with the security services. We would have a lot more of these people becoming motivated, knowing full well that we are protecting them. Because if you know of any such character, and you don't report to the appropriate authorities, you are complicit because you are protecting that person. And it is important that we realize that so together we can all play a major role in stemming the tide of insecurity in the country.
Thank you, Adib. We have another call back from Takrady. Emmanuel.
Madam.
Yes, please. Proceed.
Adib, I connect. Me want the man that do a so easy yama.
Okay.
In fact, easy yama police for no more no more. The money be cost to us. Will be why it didn't. Because one, there was a time when I'm not the motor now. Motor, me the name almost a full car. I will mean I'm here now. Car is in the John support me. And I'm a car here, the motor no. Private car or no number. Almost support private car no. One he do to my head and I said that the new guard or they had get here quick in some of the car near there. That's what or boy. It is a video of car in man. I can't have the password to say video of car. It doesn't make a lot here.
Please, bossy baby, I would send you here for a potty. What's what you here for, Ankasa? Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
Police for here, and I was a car to one of man. All move a car, on the car booth one, on the car inside, on the who said, yeah, car inside. Never that in the road that we are not a car or no number.
Okay.
It is that the number one and I they ask for so ever.
Matthias.
Oh, I German police one American as a military final. Which me and now this Western district commander, which man and call German police one so. That's a warning via what you want. I'm on what you have to keep dying because maybe the car too, that's why you put to I get out there. There is I don't want to car you put. And Madame, they are coming on the share up listening.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's what I say. So he's talking about the Western region specifically. He's also accusing the police of a bit of corruption there because he has witnessed some incidents, according to him, where the police let cars go without searching the boots, just by, taking petty change from the drivers and allowing the drivers to go. He has even witnessed an unregistered vehicle being treated that way by the police. And clearly, things like this contribute to crime because you will never know who is the actual criminal if you're not being vigilant. So this one goes to the Western Regional Police Command. You have heard him. Please check your men over there. Let me just go back to Zoom where we still have Mr. Deklu. Mr. Deklu, we are talking of, looking at how citizens can also contribute to fighting crime. Our caller from Takrady has told us his observations. Adib was talking about how residents can also check for fishy-looking characters. But in what proactive ways can we ourselves prevent crime and ensure that criminals are fished out?
Okay, thank you so much. I think most of the points are taken by Islamic as well. And I mean, I think the last part to pick up the voice from Takrady, one of the family members of the just fallen woman who was talking about the first information that he was now saying to the media. We should have even gone to the police if investigations were ongoing. I mean, as I already said, our protection of witnesses and people who actually report some of these things is not up there. The celebrity protection of people. So people are very difficult to even report when they notice some unusual movements, people, or I mean, there's a fear. So our security agencies, our Ghana police needs to probably develop a system that will make people approach them with information. And once those information are given, people are protected. And we as citizens, we need to be more conscious of our environment. Whenever we step out there or we want to do anything, we should be very mindful of our environment and the first of our security is ourselves. And also, I mean, make sure that our movements are communicated to family and friends in the immediate. And let's say if let me take example in a boat, you try to share some information with someone, a third person who should also be in the known of wherever you are going. I mean, until we improve our policing and our agencies, probably improve the way the citizen. This kidnapping is going to be an industry as qualified person. Because people know that they can get away with this.
Mr. Dekle, let me put you two on hold a little bit. We've had someone from Takwa on the line for quite some time now. So please, Ibrahim from Takwa. Ibrahim, are you still there? Hello, Ibrahim. We can hear you.
Hello.
Please, yes, please proceed.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ibrahim.
Hello, good evening, madam.
Good evening. Please speak. We can hear you.
Okay. Madam, there are a group of people who are not Ghana. Woman, yes, maybe woman, yes, maybe the other one said, woman, unregistered car, woman, and woman, in and out. The police will not be able to unregistered car or dog for Nipa 2. Original for Nipa Bear 5. Woman, yes, maybe I know, so woman, out individual officer unregistered card police phone one or two to madam for funny there they bear one now kala muma 1 year juma the bank of police will not power that way them for funny kidnappers because 1 year juma
okay
in and out it's a teenager no teacher amount for the police will not take your door.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim from Takwa. Ibrahim from Takwa is saying he's putting a bit of blame on the police and also unregistered vehicles and unemployed citizens who are constantly driving unregistered vehicles within the areas that we live in. He's charging the police to be more vigilant where those persons are concerned and track their sources of income, track the way they live and what they're engaging themselves in. Let me go to Adib Sani for a reaction there quickly.
No, unfortunately, I cannot even hear my colleague on Zoom.
Okay. Oh, you couldn't hear him? I think we are having some connection problems there.
Hello?
Yes, Adib, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Yes,
I
was saying.
I said I wasn't able to hear even my colleague on the other line.
Oh, so he was talking about how citizens can also contribute to identifying such persons within the community, people who look suspicious, and reporting those incidences. Now, we had another call from Takwa who was also talking about the unregistered vehicles and young people who are constantly packed into these vehicles, aimlessly roaming the streets.
Well, obviously, and I think it's important if really we want to deal with this issue in a much more sustainable manner, we have to start talking about those socio-economic and political deficits within our society that is driving especially young people into uncertainty, and that is making a lot of them think that you can make money without necessarily working. I mean, it reminds me of a young man I recently employed in my company. He's been pestering me for a very long time now, and first day at work I asked them to go to the phone. And just one day, he didn't return, only for me to find out from his colleague that the first day they went, he's exhibited laziness. And he even told one of them that, hey, it's my way difficult. I mean, the work is difficult and he couldn't do it. So that's the problem. A lot of young people, not all of them, they want to make money, yet they don't want to work. And that is the problem, especially these days, when you also see these so-called malam pastors, fetish priests and priestesses parading themselves on TV and radio as money doublers and all that, and making the youth think that there are easier means to make it well. All of this is adding up to this quagmire that we have, unfortunately gotten ourselves into.
Okay, I'm going to come to you to close it up for us, but we have another caller from Takrady. This will be our last call as we've run out of time. Prince from Takrady, hello, and thank you for holding on.
Yes, good evening. I'm really humbled, and good evening to your viewers.
Thank you.
This kidnapping case in Takade, I mean, is becoming very serious. And if you are looking at this situation, you are going to direct it at a whole lot of issues, such as unemployment in the country, in the region, let me say, in the region, and insecurity in the region. I live in Takrade. Akufado government, let me say the government tackling Galamsey was a good fight. Now this is a situation where all of the guys have been sent home. They have no knowledge to do any other work. And we have this influence from around going for rituals and all of that. I mean, it encourages the guys to go in for this kidnapping issue. And like our borders, for instance, we say our borders are locked. But I mean, and people go to Côte d'Ivoire and come in all the time. I mean, I know a friend who went to Côte d'Ivoire and came in just last week, going through unapproved routes. Okay. A lot of insecurity, a lot of unemployment is the high risk for this kidnapping issue. So if the government would look at these issues in this region, I think it's going to help a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prince, for calling us and giving us that insight there from Takrady. We can see that this issue has several contributory factors, and there are a few things that have created such fallouts, which all feed into this. So tackling this, these kidnap issues in Takrady has to be multi-pronged and has to take into cognizance all the other aspects that have contributed to this, unemployment being key, improving security, probably improving education. But Adi, please sum it up for us before we go. We've lost Mr. Deklu on the line, so just sum it up for us, please.
Well, no, I couldn't have agreed with you more. It should be multi-pronged, it should be multidisciplinary if really we want to deal with it in a sustainable manner. Education is key. We need to look at those social and economic, factors, especially youth unemployment. Like I always say, one of the biggest existential threats to the security of Ghana is youth unemployment. Unfortunately, for some time, governments focus more on government interventions, such as JIDA, youth enterprise, and the rest. But mostly, it is not very well managed. Some are even shrouded in corrupt practices and all that. So I'm thinking that if government creates an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive, and stop those cutthroat, taxes, that can position private sector to employ a lot more of these young people. Some of them are done with tertiary institutions and they are forced to join the backlog of those that are already in the system without jobs. Police will also have to up their game. Like I suggested at the beginning of the program, we need an anti-kidnapping unit within the Ghana Police because this is an emerging security threat that needs to be stopped in its tracks. If not, it might, become much more, complex.
Thank you, Adib Sani, who is a security analyst. On that note, we are ending Spotlight. The police need an anti-kidnapping unit, specifically dedicated to kidnapping, and it seems to be an alarmingly emerging crime. My name is Noam Falong. We're grateful for your time. Thank you for staying with us. We'll be right here again on Monday at 5 p.m. Do stay with us for the news, which comes up 6:30 this evening. Good evening.